Good morning, all. This is Mr. Burns, and yesterday report cards were delivered to our mailbox. So Mrs. Benson and myself had a chance to go through them, and we looked really carefully, and we saw two big patterns that kind of emerged when we were looking at grades for second quarter. We were looking at attendance for second quarter, and we were looking at the comments that teachers were leaving about student performance. All year long, Mrs. Benson has been presenting little life lessons in our advisory, and oftentimes we've used songs, and sometimes it's the song titles, and sometimes it's the lyrics in the songs, sometimes it's the images that go with those songs that are helping us be better individuals, better students, better family members, if you've been paying attention. And I wanted to kind of take that theme of music, but look at lyrics. And in the written word, a lyric is like a quotation. So the pattern that really emerged was showing up, attendance. And I found this quotation on showing up, and it's by Jeffrey Fry, who is some kind of a successful businessman. And his quotation is, "The formula for success is 2% talent, 8% luck, and 90% of showing up every day." So I wanted to focus on that with my theme here this morning about what we saw on the report cards specifically related to attendance. Now, as you're looking at your report card, you're going to see your grades, and you're also going to see 3 columns. And the number of class periods you missed for first quarter is listed. Now, this is not days, it's class periods that you missed. In the second column, you have the number of class periods you missed for the second quarter. That's listed. And in the third column, they tally up the absences for first and second quarters. And here's the staggering thing. And one of our friends in our advisory, missed almost 400 classes for first and second quarter. Now, 400 is a staggeringly large number, and the other thing that's really disturbing is it's not just one person. There's a whole group of kids that are clustered around this one individual with lots and lots and lots of missing classes. And so let's talk about the consequences of what can happen when you tune out and don't check in. So what I'm seeing here with this not showing up, with attendance, when I look at the groups, they fall into 2 groups. So and one group is not doing well. And what I'm clearly seeing on there is the group that misses a lot of classes has NCs, no credits, in almost every class. Now I want you to look me in the eye, and I want to cut through some of the confusing things about language and really boil this down to, well, what exactly does that mean? In reality, an NC really means the same thing as an F. And now let's get even more specific than that, because not only does an NC mean you're failing a class, but the reality is you're not getting the language that you need. It also means you're not acquiring the knowledge that you need, and it also says you're not acquiring the skills that you need for the next grade. And that's going to have a huge impact on life, because if you go through year after year and you fall behind in this manner, suddenly that affects getting into vocational school, or getting into college, or getting into the military. It affects your chances of being successful in those endeavors that come after high school. So I'm really concerned about that. Now let me talk more about this first group. And so this is the group with a lot of not showing up, a lot of absences. The median for missed classes in this group was a staggering 256. Now, median, remember, half the scores are above the number and half the scores are below the number. So half the people in that group missed even more days than what I have listed on the screen. So my next piece here is the showing up group. So let's talk about what I was seeing on the report cards for the students who have a much lower number of absences. With this group, when you look at their grades, if we're still doing Renaissance, their grades all fall in the categories of either silver or gold. So the showing up and going to classes is having an impact, a huge impact on their grades. The median for this group for missed classes was 91. Compare that to the other group, which was 256. So in this showing up group, for every 1 day that they were missing, the other group was missing 3 days, or I should say 3 class periods, not days. So let me back up and rephrase that. For every 1 class that kids in the showing up group missed, the other group was missing 3 classes. So then I have contrarian quotation, and contrarian is a big $20 word, and it basically means if I say hot, you say cold. If I say boy, you say girl. If I say fast, you say slow. So sometimes contrarian stuff goes against common sense. But the quote here is from an actor named James Caan. And what Mr. Caan is saying is that showing up every day isn't enough. There are a lot of guys who show up every day who shouldn't have showed up at all. So to turn that into plain language, showing up is not enough. You also have to put in the work. And for the group that has been showing up, clearly that's paid off. You know, they have excellent grades on their report card. But I'm throwing out that warning to that group too. It's not just enough to show up. You also have to keep putting in the work, just like you did second quarter, to earn those good grades. And to my first group that's not showing up, we kind of need to come up with a plan so that, first of all, we can get you to start coming to classes a lot more than what you're doing. And I mean showing up and doing the work. So we've been talking about goals in advisory. So let's kind of tie that all together with the end here. And first of all, I really want to say, and look me in the eye here, you know, a bad report card doesn't mean that you'll be a failure in life. Absolutely doesn't mean that. But it does mean right now we're kind of headed in the wrong direction. So if we want to make some corrections to that, we need a goal. So, second bullet, what kind of goal and plan can you write for improving your attendance? And that other piece that Mr. Caan talked about, the work habits, the work ethic, the doing the work that goes along with better attendance. And then I want you to look at, I found this beautiful picture of a sunrise. And it's my firm and fervent belief that as a middle schooler, your son should be a rising sun, not a setting sun. Let me say that again. As a middle schooler, your son should be a rising sun and not a setting sun. So I'm just going to conclude this by saying that I think what I mean by a rising sun is that you're showing up and you're putting in the work. So this has been Mr. Burns with my 2 cents on what was happening for second quarter and some final thoughts on what we could do to improve third quarter.